this one, we do have a few wait, where did that one?
We've
I
got
think
several callers. I'm
one
impressed.
really, this seems like it could be a quick question from Jazz. Jazz was homeschooled and learned in college that some of what they were taught was wrong. Want to know how to have amicable dialogue with their mother about this. Jazz, you're
Ooh,
on
good
with
question.
Laura and Ethan.
Hey, Jazz.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good, yourself?
Good.
I'm hanging in there.
Good.
Laura, I know that you homeschool your kids.
I do, yeah.
And I just specifically wanted your opinion on this. I'm a history major, and a lot of things that I learned in college were a little contradictory to what my mom taught me. And I have a lot of respect for my mom. I'm so grateful that she homeschooled me. It was amazing. I have 3 younger siblings, and I know that she's teaching them things that are infactual just because of her Christian, Republican worldview that she holds, kind of Southern stuff. So I was wondering, if you had any suggestions on how to, push back, with respect and everything, with everything that she's taught me and stuff, how to push back nicely, but also still be like, so actually, you're wrong.
So I guess my first question would be, what would be the purpose of pushing back? And before I stop and let you answer, just to give you a little bit of reason why, is because sometimes the pushback it creates too much tension or too much drama, or it doesn't have the impact or the effect that you want it to have. So my first question would be, what is the intention there? Is it to have her teach your younger siblings differently? Is it to put in her face like, hey, you taught me wrong, now I know better and I'm going to teach you? Or what's the motivation there?
No, I want my siblings to know a little better, I guess, just because they're not history people, and a lot of things that she taught are translating to today. Like, for example, she taught that the Civil War was over states' rights versus how it was over slavery, and some of her views on Black Lives Matter and stuff comes from that. So I can see where specifically she's teaching history and how it's not doing them a great service now. I don't want to just correct her and be like, oh, but by the way, here's my degree. I will teach you things now. I definitely don't want to do that.
No, but I mean, what you could do if you wanted to just if you wanted to talk to her about it, my first question would be, how amicable is she about hearing her beliefs challenged or having discussions about things that she believes? Is she very hardcore? You're not going to change my mind. I don't want to hear about it. Or is she open for discussion, even if she ends up still holding to her same beliefs in the long run?
I think she lets me talk more or less just because she wants to know where my head's at, but I don't think she really she wants to hear what I say so she can change my mind. For example, last year when I moved away, I was talking to her about all the things I was excited to do and stuff, and how the things I was excited to learn. And I mentioned something about Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ issues and stuff, and she just hit me back with well, I guess I didn't teach you good enough then, if you don't know the answers to those questions.
Okay, so she may have felt a little bit she may have felt inadequate in that moment, but it sounds like she's willing to listen to you talk. And that I think is really important. She's not going to shut you down or say, hey, I don't need that anti-Republican, anti-Christian or whatever. It sounds like she's willing to hear what you have to say. So the only thing I can really think of, and I'm not an expert on this, but I do have a very religious parent who I no longer have a relationship with, and I have a non-religious parent who I have a great relationship with. So I might not be the best person to talk to on religious parent advice, but what I would say off the top of my head is be excited and be knowledgeable about whatever it is you're talking about, and have that be the purpose. Not have the purpose be to change her mind or to teach her, but have it be like, hey, I'm excited about this. This is something I learned. I want to talk to you about this. And then when she says something like, well, the Civil War is only over states' rights, that's when you can say, yo, you're right. You're not wrong. But what they wanted was the right to be able to continue to own slaves and blah, 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 whatever else their complaints were, right? get into the history of it, get accurate about it, but let her have as much of the truth that she can have. Like, yeah, sure, it was a states' rights issue, but what were they fighting to have their rights over? Right? It was the way that they did their economy, right? It was the problem was the economy, and slaves maintain the economy.
Exactly.
Right? So if you have that sort of nuanced discussion,
and we've gone down this rabbit hole, so.
And if she doesn't listen, ultimately, she's not going to listen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just listening to you.
Oh, sorry. No, I tend to interrupt because there's like pauses, and I always jump in too fast.
Jazz, I hope was that helpful?
Yeah, it gives me. I guess it's just I'm gonna have to figure out how to bring this stuff up because I am excited about this stuff. I'm going like pretty deep into like ancient history right now, which is something my mom also taught me, but she taught me from a biblical perspective. So I'm trying to figure out where the line is to go in like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about all the stuff I'm learning from like digital Hammurabi and all this like secular stuff. But none of it actually lines up with the Bible. So like,
right.
It's, it's hard to find the line because everybody is different. And it's so hard to know the best way to approach a conversation with every individual. Even now on this show, I'm still trying to find where the line is from being friendly and a charitable listener to also pushing back. And it's difficult sometimes because there are times I look at certain shows and I'm like, okay, that was too friendly. There was no pushback. And then there's other times where I've seen them and it's like, oh, pushing back too hard. Mm-hmm. So there's unfortunately no set direction with any one individual we could give you. The only thing I would add on with Laura is I find street epistemology to be one of the most effective methods. Just keep asking them questions over and over and see where you get with that. Because I know in my experience, when I've tried to go to parents or my parents or other parents and pointed out some of the things I've seen, they get really defensive because at times they'll think you're saying they're a bad parent simply because, here's a prime example. Mm-hmm. I got into a debate on circumcision, and several of the people who were commenting were explaining like how horrible it is. Well, one of the mothers was like, you're telling me I'm a bad mother, I'm a horrible person, I'm hurting my child. It's like, whoa. Yes, it does hurt your child, but you made a mistake. Now that you know more going forward, you won't circumcise your child again. But unfortunately, people get really defensive over parenting. So I would try and do it as courteous and polite as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Jazz?
I appreciate you
for calling and asking.
Yeah, and thank you for waiting and calling in.
Yep. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
You too.